Today, we're jumping right into the curious case of Raghav Chadha. He's one of India's most fascinating and definitely fastest-rising political figures. We're going to break down his incredible rise, his killer social media strategy, and, of course, the recent mystery that has the entire world of Indian politics buzzing.
Okay, let's just cut to the chase. Here's the central puzzle we're trying to solve. How does a political party's biggest star, a guy with a social media reach that's just off the charts, suddenly get benched? It's a real paradox, and it tells you a lot about how politics works today.
So, what actually went down? Well, not too long ago, Raghav Chadha was removed from his job as deputy leader in the Rajya Sabha, that's India's upper house of parliament. And the kicker is, this wasn't some move by a rival. This was done by his own party, the Aam Aadmi Party, or AAP.
Now you gotta understand, this deputy leader role is a big deal. It's not just a fancy title. It gave Chadha a ton of power. He, along with the main party leader, got to decide which of his party's MPs would get to speak on what issues, and, this is key, for how long. So yeah, he's still a member of parliament until 2028, but losing this job means the party now holds all the cards on whether he even gets the mic.
So think about what that means. The very thing that made him famous, those super passionate clips of him in parliament that went viral everywhere, well, that whole wellspring of content could just dry up. And that brings us right back to the million-dollar question. Why on earth would a party want to silence its best, most popular communicator? To figure that out, we have to look at what he built.
To really get why the party might have felt it had to make this move, you first have to appreciate the sheer scale of his success. I mean, Chadha didn't just use social media. He carefully built brand Chadha, and he totally cracked the code for political marketing in this digital age.
His resume was just perfect for what the Aam Aadmi Party was selling. He's a chartered accountant, went to Oxford, he's young, polished, speaks perfect English. In the early days, the party basically unleashed him as their attack dog on news debates. He got the modern vibe too, famously calling his own party India's fastest-growing political startup. He was literally the perfect face for them.
And would you look at this? This is the result. We are talking about over 150 million views on a single Instagram reel. That is not just big for a politician. That's A-list celebrity numbers. He became hands down the most viral politician in the country. And that enormous public profile is exactly why this demotion was so shocking.
Now, this split between Chadha and his party didn't just happen overnight, but it became impossible to ignore during AAP's single biggest crisis, right when their leader was arrested. His response, or, the lack of one, really said it all.
Let's just walk through this timeline, because it's pretty telling. In March, his party chief gets arrested. The whole party is out on the streets, protesting like crazy. Chadha, he's in London and sends out just 2 tweets. Then, in April, he says he needs an eye operation, so he stays abroad even after his wife comes back. Then in May, his boss gets out on bail and is campaigning like a madman for the Delhi elections. Chadha is just absent, a complete ghost. And finally, in June, the party loses those elections. From Chadha, crickets. Nothing. Not a single tweet or statement. It's hard to see that as anything but a deliberate choice to back away.
So if he was pulling away from his party, what was he focusing on? Well, after 2022, he made a really brilliant shift in strategy. He stopped attacking political rivals and started picking these populist, almost feel-good fights that were just perfectly designed to be chopped up into viral social media clips. And his first huge viral moment came from this, talking about overpriced airport food. He put it in these really simple emotional terms that everybody gets. I mean, who hasn't felt totally ripped off buying a bottle of water at the airport? It was just a masterclass in connecting with the common person.
The strategy here is just fascinating. Chadha's argument was super simple. These prices are a ripoff, and the government needs to do something about it. But remember, he's a chartered accountant. He absolutely knows the other side of the story, that airports have insane operating costs and rents, and if you force them to have subsidized food stalls, the private businesses can't compete. He knew the complex truth, but chose the simple, viral message. Next up, he took on the cause of gig workers for food delivery apps, another topic that's incredibly relatable. And again, he used that really powerful emotional language, saying their situation was worse than a daily wage laborer's. He knew just how to tap into that public sympathy.
All right, let's break this one down. He framed this whole thing around the idea that companies were forcing riders into these dangerous 10-minute delivery dashes. And when the government did something, his team marketed it as a massive win. But the reality was a little different. The government only banned the marketing slogan, 10-minute delivery.
The actual practice, which is possible because of a network of tiny local warehouses, is still going on. So a small marketing change was spun as a huge victory for workers' rights.
This one really shows his method perfectly. He took those 28-day mobile plans we all see and called them a scam. His argument? It tricks you into paying for a 13th month every year. He called it unethical. But if you look at the economics of it, it's just a pricing structure. A 30-day plan would just be a little more expensive. The cost per day is the same, but calling it a scam is so much more powerful and shareable than calling it a pricing structure, right?
Now, to be totally fair, it wasn't all just about getting clicks. He also brought up a lot of really serious, important issues that didn't go viral. Things like giving voters the right to recall politicians they don't like, public health spending, fixing the GST tax system, and even the rights of digital creators. So he was doing a lot of serious work in Parliament too.
So let's put all these pieces together. You have a politician who builds this massive personal brand, who picks his fights perfectly to go viral, and then who seems to vanish when his party is in deep trouble. What does it all mean for his future?
You really have to try and see it from his party's point of view. They're probably looking at this and thinking, we gave this guy a platform, and he used it to build his own personal brand. Then, when we needed him most, he was gone. He abandoned us. They started to see him not as a loyal soldier, but as someone who was becoming bigger than the party, a potential rival down the road.
When you think about it that way, their calculation was pretty simple, even if it was brutal. It's a defensive move. You sideline the star now, you cut off his access to that parliamentary stage before he decides to leave and uses all that fame you helped him build against you.
So naturally, this has led to a ton of speculation about what he'll do next. Staying with AIP seems pretty unlikely after a public slapdown like this. Joining the opposition Congress Party? It's possible, but honestly, most of the talk is about him joining the ruling party, the BJP. For a politician this ambitious, who really wants the power to make things happen, joining the party in charge is usually the most logical path.
And all of this leads us with a fascinating question that's so much bigger than just one person. In this age of social media, when a single politician can build a personal brand that's way more powerful than their party's, where does their loyalty truly lie? Is it to the party that gave them their start, or is it to the personal brand that gives them their power? That's a question that's going to define the future of politics.